By taking a problem like this, the reason they're using parameters is they're really trying to make it difficult on you to guess at it. And someone says, could you guess at the other one? I think they're difficult to guess too, but I'm often surprised how good people are at guessing solutions to problems by just staring at it for a few minutes and then saying, oh, yeah, it's obvious that this is an answer. I don't have that talent, by the way, except if it's very trivial. All right? Okay, so I'm going to say over here, if I were to do this equation over here, I got to make a decision about what to do. And by the way, it may be a bad decision, but you need to make a decision, all right, and move forward. If you're moving forward and you made a bad decision, though, over time you're going to figure it out and then back up, all right? You will. So what I'm claiming over here is looking at it, I'm going to say, the second equation, probably solving that for y might be an easy thing to do, or solving for x. So look at this one over here, and what I did was I solved, I solved the second equation for y. Relatively simple. Then someone says, well, what'd you do next? I plugged it in the first equation. So what'd you get? You would get this line over here, all right? And again, I'm not saying it's easy, but you just plug it in. It's basically just rewriting it. It's copying. It's all you're doing. So what I do, wherever I saw y, I put that, the 3 times a minus b minus x down. Here comes the trouble, though. The trouble is this over here. I got to do this, right, which is simplify it. This takes time. It also takes effort. I'm going to say time and effort is what I call work. The next thing I did was use quadratic formula. But I want to point out, you really don't need to use the quadratic formula. For example, you could do this by trial and error. I want to go through that with you. It's a little bit different, but I'm going to write down this as 8x and x. This is called trial and error. And then I'm looking at this last guy over here. And again, you might say stuff, well, gee, I don't know if I can do that. I don't either, but you can give it a try. And by the way, the 8x and x could have been 4x and 2x, yada, yada, yada. There are other tries. I'm just trying this initially. So I'm going to say, let's take a look at this. I'm going to say, let's see, plus, and whatever I say, I'm going to check it. And I'm going to say minus, let's see, that'll be 2a minus b then, right? All right, give me a second over here. Do I get 8x squared? Yes. Do I get the last term? Yes. Do I get the middle? I don't know. I'll take a look at it. And I'm just looking at the coefficient now. What am I looking at? Minus 8 times 2a minus b plus a plus 7b. I'm just looking at the coefficient now. What's it give you? Minus 16. That's going to give you minus 15a. Let me just check that again. Minus 16 plus 1 is minus 15. Then you get 8 and 7, which is going to be 15b. Let me just check that again. Minus 16, minus 15, 8 and 7. Good. I'm going to factor out a minus 15 from that. And what do you get? A minus b. Is that the coefficient? It certainly is. So this is the correct factorization. Now granted, whether you use quadratic formula or what I just did, which is what I like to refer to as zero product rule or trial and error, things do work out. Either way. All right. I want to claim, though, if you're using the quadratic formula, you need to identify the a in the problem. The a would be 8. You need to identify the b in the problem. The b would be minus 15, a minus b. And you need to identify the c in the problem. And what's the c in the problem? It's actually minus 2a minus b times a plus 7b. What's problem quadratic formula? It's a lot of work, but I did write it down for you. I wrote this down for you. All right, I put the twice a in the bottom, the opposite of b over here, plus or minus the b squared here, and then minus the 4 ac. That's all written down for you. All right, so it does require work, but I want to point out when the dust settles, you'll get those two answers. Let's show you get the same answers over here. Well, for the first factor, what would you get? X equals the opposite of a plus 7b over 8. And what would you get over here? You would get x equals 2a minus b. Are you getting the same answers that the quadratic formula would give? Of course you do. All right? Here comes the problem now. Once you know what x is, you need to find out what the y is. How do you do that? You must go back to an equation that relates x with y in a simplistic way, by the way. And I'm going to claim this one over here probably does the trick pretty nicely. So what do? You take this, you plug it in. Let me write that down for you. For this one, you get y equals 3 times a minus b, and then you get minus x, which would be minus 2a plus b. That's not really that bad to do, is it? So what do you get? Y equals, well, 3a minus 2a is just a. Minus 3b plus b is minus 2b. Are we getting that over here? Of course we are. What's your objective, though? Also to do the other one. And again, it's more difficult. It's going to require work. But if you know the x, you should be able to verify this over here, which brings us to the ordered pair solution to the problem. And there's parameters in it. All right? Now, granted, do I make mistakes? Of course I do. If you see a mistake, please reach out to me. My email address is Bannon, B as in boy, the @ symbol, nnon.us. And again, I'll try to entertain any emails I receive, to carefully read what you said, look back over the notes, make corrections if necessary, and give credit where credit's due. All right? Thank you so much for paying attention. I appreciate your time and your efforts. Thank you.